Hey now, what is up everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and I had to make this video. I felt compelled to make this video because I've been watching over the last few weeks Collider. They have been doing their top 50 superhero movies of all time. Every day you've been getting a new video, and I know it's their opinions. I know that everybody has their own list, their own opinions on which movies should be ranked at what number. And they even have their own ranking system that sounds very weird and convoluted, but cool. That's fine. So here is my top 50 of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Let's start with number 50, The Wolverine. The Wolverine was a movie that was made by James Mangold. He would obviously go on to make a better Wolverine movie, but this one still was unique. You still had Hugh Jackman at the beginning with the long hair and the beard, and he was angry and grizzled. He goes to Japan. You see him in a brand new setting, dealing with brand new characters, fighting ninjas, and some of the coolest, just different things that you could think of. But the reason why it is as low as it is because the ending does fall apart. I mean, I don't care about the Viper, lizard woman chick. And also the fact that you have the Silver Samurai character. You could have just gone for a full-blown, all-out, badass ninja, but no, you went for this big robot-looking thing. And just instantly takes you out of it. Number 49, The Amazing Spider-Man. This film, I don't hate. I think that Andrew Garfield is really good in the film. I mean, I like his Spider-Man more than anything. He's very jokey, he's very charismatic, and he's the type of Spider-Man you want to see. He's having fun, he's cracking jokes. His Peter Parker, I don't love, like I don't hate, but he's a little too cool, a little too good looking for me to be Peter Parker. You retell the Uncle Ben thing again. You retell the whole origin. The first hour of this movie is origin all over again, even though we've already done it and we've done it better. So that's what makes it lower. There are still good stuff in here. Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy is great. Her chemistry with Andrew Garfield is amazing. They were dating in real life, so it just made sense. The scene of them in the hallway trying to ask each other out. Dennis Leary as Captain Stacy was great. And the lizard. I don't like the way the lizard looks. I don't. That he has no snout. But I like that they used a different villain. 48, Fantastic Four. I know some people will have this on their worst superhero movie list, and that's fine. But I enjoyed the movie. I do. I think there is a bit of fun that's to be had with it. I think they get the origin right. Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, very funny, fun to watch, and this was one of his breakout roles where you're like, oh, this guy, he's gonna be a star. Michael Chiklis as the Thing, I think is great casting. I love the voice he puts on. I even like the costume, the practical effect costume that we got for the Thing. Some people want it bigger in CGI, cool, but I like seeing a real life guy walking around. Jessica Alba, I don't think she's terrible, like a bad actress. I just don't think she was casted right for Invisible Woman. Doctor Doom is a great villain in the comic books, in the cartoons, not necessarily in this movie. He is one track, he is dumbed down a little bit in the ending where he's doing all this electrical powers. You're like, this isn't Doctor Doom. At 47, The Punisher. This is a movie that people forget about, Thomas Jane. Look, I'm not saying it's perfect. They do his origin where not only his wife and kids get killed, but his whole family. I mean, if you're at all related to this guy, blood relation, marriage, like you're gonna get wiped out. His parents, cousins, second cousins. You see him go after John Travolta, who's this mob boss like villain, and that was kind of cool. And sure, you don't get as much of Frank Castle going around killing people, causing mayhem and destruction. I guess that's why people don't really care for it. I like the fight he has with the Russian, played by Kevin Nash, and I always wish that Thomas Jane got to make another Punisher movie. That short that he did, Dirty Laundry, was very cool, very memorable. 46, Justice League. In so many ways, this movie should be in the top 10. It's the first ever Justice League movie. I admit the first hour is forgettable. is just your typical, we're going to get all these characters together. You don't have as much attachment to characters like Cyborg and Aquaman and Flash because they don't have their own movies. They didn't go the Marvel Avengers route where we got to know these people and care about them before seeing them team up. And that's a problem. Sure, Ben Affleck as Batman is really good. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is good. And Henry Cavill coming back from the dead as Superman is the best parts of the movie. His resurrection just instantly got me into the movie. The fight he has with Justice League, him and the Flash going back and forth, saving people, the race that they have. Those are the moments where I'm like, yes, this is why you're even making the list at all. Steppenwolf is a horrible villain. All of this stuff is true when you hear about what was supposed to be in the movie but was cut out and changed because of Zack Snyder leaving and Joss Whedon coming in, and which is the good stuff, which is the bad. We'll probably never really know. 45, The Incredible Hulk. This movie had a huge task of trying to make a good Hulk movie after that first Hulk movie. The Ang Lee Hulk that was just not great. And you have Edward Norton this time playing Bruce Banner, and I thought Edward Norton was really good. I like Mark Ruffalo better. I think Edward Norton did have this quiet performance, and he was desperate to stay away from the military. He's out in these different countries and he's running around. And the Hulk, the CGI for the Hulk, has gotten better, sure, over the years. But back then, I remember when I first saw the trailer and I saw the texture and the detail in the face, I was like, wow, this is really good. And the big fight he has with the Abomination, them running towards each other, that one shot in Brooklyn, I thought was really good. I guess you could argue that it's forgettable or it's not something that you instantly go, but when you do sit down and watch it, you will realize. Number 44, Daredevil. Now, I know the theatrical cut is not good. It's not. I saw that the first time and thought, oi. The second time I watched it, though, I saw the director's cut, and that's what's on my list. The director's cut, it's rated R, it's Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock, and you actually get a story, a side plot, but it does take up some good screen time of him taking this case of, sure, it's Coolio who's being accused of murder, and he didn't do it, and the Kingpin was actually behind it, and we have a black Kingpin. Some people lost their minds over that. I was fine with it. He was cool. And you're seeing Matt Murdock actually take this case, him and Jon Favreau doing this, prove this guy's innocence. I know the CGI in retrospect might have been too much. As a character like Daredevil really need this much CGI, but we just got off of the Spider-Man train. They wanted to take advantage of the new technology. So there are some shots of Daredevil going down the buildings and the long shots of him doing these moves that I enjoy. I do. The scenes with him and Elektra, sure, the playground scene is weird, but her origin, we're seeing her origin, the death of her father, her training and becoming this character, the fight she has with Daredevil, really compelling. And then Bullseye, Colin Farrell, who is good in the movie, he kills her in a dark, sad twist. 43, Blade 2. I remember first seeing Blade 2 and just loving the horror aspect of with this character. He is a superhero, sure, but it's, again, Guillermo del Toro. You have these evil vampire-like creatures. Their mouths open up and they eat your face whole. It was creepy. It's still, I watch it and it gives me the heebie-jeebies. But Blade going after them, being a badass, teaming up with those vampire hunters, and Ron Perlman's one of them. Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead is one of them. And there's some cool one-liners. They try to give Blade more of a personality, some more jokes to make him more fun. 42, this movie had no place on their list, and that's fine because people don't like this movie. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. It's not great. It's not perfect. It's like Justice League where you do see moments of missed opportunities, or you do see changes in direction that you're like, I wouldn't have done that. But still, what we got, I like the tone. I like the dark, serious tone. I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I think he's scary, like that first scene with the cops and that warehouse and him, like, he's scary there. I don't like him killing, so there's that. But Superman in the theatrical cut gets he gets shafted. That's true. I'm talking about the Ultimate Edition, where he does get a few more scenes, a few more moments of him dealing with the public crapping on him, and he's trying to figure out what to do. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor is not good in this movie. He's not. That one scene in Justice League with him made me tolerable to him, but this movie, he's so goofy, he's so over the top, he's so Jim Carrey Riddler-like, and it didn't work for his character, not for me. You have the Doomsday fight. I'm still wondering, was it right to have Doomsday this early? But still, we got it. And still, Doomsday versus Superman was something that I'm like, wow, I'm seeing this in live action. You see the death of Superman in a movie that your mind is blown. Wonder Woman coming in and helping save the day. 41, Dredd, another lost gem, forgotten movie. Carl Urban as Dredd, who he had to take the stinker of that Stallone movie. He had to give this character respect. He never took the helmet off. This silent, cold, almost just by the book. He knew what he had to do. Seeing the city, the futuristic city, like I'm desperate for a sequel or just something connected to this world to get to know more about it. And them going to that building that Lena Headey was taking over, and Dredd, like a video game, having to go through and take out as many people as it can. The slow-mo drug made this movie, watching it in 3D in the theater, was crazy. 40, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is a very funny movie. I grew to appreciate it the more and more times I watched it. Watching Peter Quill meet his father, Kurt Russell, Ego, and how at first he's so happy to finally meet his dad, but you find out he's a villain. Gamora and Nebula and their relationship, you get some peek into their past and what Thanos did to Nebula, and you really feel for her. Rocket and Michael Rooker's character and his sacrifice, seeing that he was more of a father to Peter, like all of that, all of those themes are there. Number 39, Ant-Man. I still can't believe there's an Ant-Man movie. Like, I can right now, if I want to, put on a Marvel Ant-Man movie. He was just one of those ancillary characters that I knew from the Avengers, like the cartoons, and I would see him turn to Giant Man. I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's cool, but never thought they would make a movie of it. Never thought the character would work. And then you get Paul Rudd, and he's funny. He has that personality. You care about his relationship with his daughter. He's just getting out of prison, and he's trying to go down the right path. But Michael Pena is like, oh, let's do this. Michael Douglas, as the original Hank Pym, like that was great. Brings weight to a role like that. And just seeing how this fit into the Marvel universe with the scene with the Falcon and the scenes of Ant-Man fighting Yellow Jacket and the humor that was brought into that. 38. Doctor Strange, another character that you're like, they'll never do this. I'd see him in cartoons when I was a kid and thought, wow, that's a different, weird character. You see him in this movie, and Benedict Cumberbatch, sort of a dick. He's cocky. He's the surgeon. He's the best at what he does. He gets into a car accident, loses his hands, and he's desperate. He's so desperate. Goes to this foreign country, finds the Ancient One, who's Tilda Swinton, not an Asian dude. But he learns all of this stuff. Seeing this in the theater and seeing all those colors and the scenes of him tripping out and going through, like, I'll never forget how that looked and how much I was just like, whoa, I feel like I'm on mushrooms right now. And they're having that big fight, but everything around them is going in reverse, in time. They're going backwards, but they're still fighting in real time. It's so insane. It's something I never had seen in a movie before, a superhero movie, so they were creative at that. Number 37, Blade. Blade, people don't give this movie, this character, enough credit that Wesley Snipes came in as this hybrid human vampire hunter. He hunts his own kind. He's a character who hates what he is. Vampires killed his mother. His relationship with Whistler and all of that was great. And I'll never forget that opening scene at that nightclub and all those vampires and the blood rain and the techno music and him killing all of them with that effect of the fiery ash. It came at a time after Batman and Robin when people probably weren't interested in superhero movies. And I bet you a lot of people didn't even know this was a Marvel movie, a superhero movie. 36, most people won't have this on their list, and that's fine. I've accepted that. Suicide Squad is on my list because I enjoy the movie. Is it perfect? No. I feel like I say the same thing for every DC movie. It's not perfect, but it has enough flavor. It has enough things in it, enough fun things in it, enough things for me to latch onto that I'll think of this stuff more than anything that's bad. Yeah, Enchantress is weird, and the whole dance she does, and as a villain, she's sort of lame. Cara Delevingne, I don't know if that was her or David Ayer. Somebody's to blame for that. And there were some scenes of too much music. Fine. But Will Smith as Deadshot, it's crazy to see him as a villain. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and this is a character that I never thought I'd see in a live action movie, and almost that's enough. You do her right, you get an actress who can portray that madness, that craziness, but also that you want to watch her, you want to see her do the right thing, even though she's crazy and a villain. Technically, her backstory and relationship with the Joker and Jared Leto, sure, not a perfect Joker, but he had moments, mostly with her, that worked. The two of them being chased by Batman through the streets of Gotham is still an image. I grew up with this, and I got to see it in a movie. 35, Watchmen. Watchmen is one of those movies that you're either going to love it or hate it. I don't know if there's a middle road there. I never read the original graphic novel, sure. Alan Moore doesn't like this movie, but Zack Snyder, I think, did something where he had to translate this. How many of these superhero movies are an actual translation, almost beat for beat, shot by shot, line for line, into the movie? And he tried to do that, and there's enough images in here. He's a great visual director. The death of the comedian, Rorschach being like the most interesting, compelling character, trying to figure out the murder of it, going around, and Jackie Earle Haley when he's in prison and all of that. And the whole montage of the origin of Dr. Manhattan is almost enough to watch just as its own separate movie in and of itself. I know some people don't like Malin Ackerman and even Night Owl, like their side plot, but I'm okay with it. 34, The Crow. This movie's so good. I wish I could put it even higher. Brandon Lee, everything that he put into this role, it's the only role that people really know him for because he died making it. But not just that, when you watch the movie, he's so good. He's so good in this starring role where he has a personality. Sure, the beginning is dark as hell. You see him and his girlfriend get murdered, his girlfriend raped by this gang, Halloween night. He comes back as this mystical figure with this crow who brings him back just to get revenge. The face paint I love, the leather jacket, his look is great. I love his personality, the goth look of the city, the music that was chosen, his relationship with the little girl. Number 33, Avengers Age of Ultron. You could complain that, okay, this is a disappointment because it's not as good as the first Avengers. Well, how can you be as good as that first Avengers? This movie did enough right where that first action shot of all of the Avengers jumping out to fight Hydra, they look badass, and you get Ultron, who, yeah, the trailer made him look more scary and serious, and we got a more jokey villain, but I like James Spader. I like what he brought to it. I love seeing these characters interact with each other. All of them, Thor, Cap, Iron Man, Hulk, when he goes insane and he's wrecking everything in that town and Iron Man has to go and take it to him. You have the introduction of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. I very much enjoyed them. 32, the first Thor movie. You're taking a character who, I'm sorry, if you read him on paper, if you tell me his backstory on paper, you're going to go, this movie's going to be silly. The Rainbow Bridge and just all this stuff in Asgard and their gods, and this isn't going to work. And then this movie proves me wrong, and not only it works, but it makes him this character that everybody knows and loves. Chris Hemsworth made a star. I think he's really good, not only playing that cocky Thor at the beginning, but the scene where Anthony Hopkins takes away his hammer, takes away everything, his power, strips them down to earth and says, good luck. And when Thor tries to go and pick the hammer up in the rain and he can't do it and he's fallen, those moments are memorable. You see him with Jane, Natalie Portman, that some people don't like. I think she's good in this first movie. I think she handles the humor well. She's reacting very much to what Thor is and his backstory. She's the audience who might not know about any of this stuff. Kat Dennings, I find really funny as well. And low-key, him being the villain who was the brother to Thor, but felt like the outcast, felt like he was lied to. He has all good reasons to hate this family, hate his father. 31, Captain America, the first Avenger. I love this movie. Like, I couldn't believe how they did, once again, Marvel. Boom, boom, boom. Character after character. Captain America was somebody who people would think is too corny, too by the book, too straight-laced. No one's going to take him seriously or relate to him. So here's what you do. Let's put this in the 40s. World War II. Let's make him actually like fighting Nazis. At the beginning, he's skinny Rogers. He's wanting to join the military. They won't let him do it. He takes that experiment, becomes big and huge, but he still stays a good man. Him going up against the Red Skull. The Red Skull is a villain that not enough people talk about. I like Hugo Weaving. I love when you see the face and how it looks and the effects of it and how they say he's worse than Hitler. His relationship, Roger's relationship with Peggy Carter, the love that never happened, that ending of the two of them talking to each other as he's bringing the plane into the ground, the water. It's so sad, but it's so worth it for when he wakes up in present day and he says, I had a date. 30, Superman 2. This is the definition of how you do a superhero sequel. You have stuff set up in the previous movie of Zod and how he was imprisoned, and you want to know more about that. What did he do? Like, what's going on? This movie shows you. Richard Donner had this all planned out and laid out. He didn't get to finish the movie, but it was still there. Terrence Stamp as General Zod showing up on Earth and causing destruction. Kneel before Zod was so good. One of the best villains that you can picture, and still to this day, so many versions of Zod after the fact, but you still think of him. And Christopher Reeves giving up his powers, giving up being Superman because he reveals himself to Lois. He wants to be with Lois. He's in love with her. And they try it, but he sees that the world needs him more. And he gives up his love. He gives that up, and he gets beat up at the diner, everything, but he goes back to being Superman. He comes back to save the world. And the showdown, would you like to take this outside, General? 29, and people won't agree with this either being on the list or being this high, but Batman Forever, this is strictly on the list this high because I love this as a kid. I've said it before, I used to watch this movie over and over again on VHS, just rewind and rewind, back to back, stay up all night. I was obsessed with this movie. Yeah, because of the visuals and the colors, and that probably helped. But I like Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne Batman. I think he's underrated. Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson Robin. I think he has some great moments as well. Jim Carrey. If this was anybody else, you would say he sucks, or he's too goofy, he's too over the top, and some people still say that, but for me, he works. For me, he makes me laugh. For me, it's that over the topness that brings me, sucks me into this character and his riddles. Tommy Lee Jones is too goofy though. I can't get into him being goofy. Like, I wish he played it straight, or I wish they brought Billy D. Williams in to take that spot. And Chase Meridian, Nicole Kidman, she's hot, but she is too, like, she's nothing of a character. She's written bad. There are a lot of goofy, corny scenes here. There are moments that I'm like, okay, maybe it's not the greatest, but I still nostalgic. 28, X-Men the movie. This is one of those films that just respect alone, you have to give this movie credit. Coming out in 2000, and after this movie, you saw an onslaught of superhero films, and we're still feeling it to this day. Hell, the X-Men movies are so popular and so loved in some cases that even when they rebooted it, they still kept on to what we love from the old stuff. That's how much of an impact it left. But somebody who grew up on the 90s cartoon, you would think I'd watch this and hate it because it's not big and colorful. It's not superhero comic book like costumes, and yellow spandex. No, they went for a more down-to-earth, realistic. The first shot is at a concentration camp. Like, that's the level of material and writing that we're dealing with. And I loved it. I love that Bryan Singer decided to take it down that path. Show us that side of Magneto and why he hates humans the way that he does. It makes sense. It instantly makes you understand him, relate to him. Ian McKellen, great casting. Patrick Stewart as Professor X is perfect for me. Like Hugh Jackman also. I love him as a cage fighter, him meeting Rogue and growing close to her and meeting the X-Men and making fun of them and not really wanting to be with them but deciding to. You got Jean Grey, Storm, Cyclops, all these characters that I already knew. And at the time, being a kid, I couldn't believe they were doing it in a way that wasn't comic book, but it was still with respect. 27, some people forget that this is a superhero movie. Unbreakable. This is a movie that it was a superhero movie before everybody was doing a superhero movie. It came out in 2000. Also, M. Night Shyamalan, the twist of the movie is that it's a superhero movie because Bruce Willis plays a guy who survives a train crash. He doesn't know how he did it. He doesn't understand how he's the only survivor. He's trying to figure things out. The scenes of him and the son and his wife trying to deal with things, trying to figure things out. Samuel L. Jackson as Mr. Glass and how the two of them bond, only to find out that Mr. Glass is behind all of it. He's the villain. So guys, I'm going to stop here. I've gone on for a long time. I know I said top 50. I'm going to come back and continue with the top 25 of my favorite superhero movies. But just let me know, so far, what do you think of the first half of my top 50 favorite superhero movies? What do you think of my list? Would you change some movies? Would you add some? Is there any movie that you're like, wow, that really made the list? I can probably figure it out. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!